as well. So I'm also going to talk about probably the best characters in this game. So the main characters you really want is this one. Okay. Lyra. Let's go back. Lyra right here. She's amazing, but there's a very specific setup for her, and you're only going to use her in raids. Okay, you're never going to use her for arcade. Only raids. Only raids for this fairy. And you're going to use her with a very specific setup. So, let me think about it. You see this dragon? You get this only doing raids, and there's a reason why this dragon is so great with Lyra, because it gives you a 20% chance to find guardian skill items. So whenever you get those little like elemental circles that drop down from the boss when you're in raid, you will get a lot more of them if you have this skill. It also has a slow aura, and it has the deep freeze, which is fantastic. Deep freeze works great on big bosses. Actually, it works amazing on big bosses. It works really well. Let's just put it that way. So you would have that, and then I would pair it with Mystic Titus because of this right here. Flower Power is a fantastic special, and if you have any dragons with this ability, even if it's not Mystic Titus, you are in luck. So this is a setup that I use with Lyra. Okay. And then if I'm going to use Jade, alright, for raid, I will use this dragon with Mystic Titus. Alright, these are the best combos of fairies and dragons to use right here. Now, if I don't have either of these, I'm going to do my best to pick something with Boss Killer and Homing and Amplify and Scavenger. So if you don't have either one of these, you really want to have something like Ted with Amplify and Scavenger if you have him. Of course, this is the Christmas event dragons, or the what are they called? The Frost Beast. I think I'm getting confused with the Lunar Beast. But yeah. Alright, this is also from the Flower Power event, which has homing. Homing is really useful. So, like I said, again, if you don't have Mystic Titus or Thisia yet, I would highly recommend using something with boss homing, like this one. It's got Boss Killer and triple spread. That wouldn't be bad to use. If you were going to use any of these new dragons, this would be the one that I would use on the King's Court event, which is going on right now on 4/20/23. Let's see. You definitely want to use something that's going to have like Boss Killer and Scavenger in their skills. That's really going to be your best bet. That's what's going to work best. Like this has Boss Killer and Poison, so that would be useful. Really want to look at the skills. That's really what you want to know, what you want to see, you know? Like you wouldn't want to use a Moss or a Pong, you know, they don't have the skills associated with boss killing, you know? Let's see, this guy, yeah, this guy would be great. Like if you don't have anything else and you just have one of these little guys for raids, right here. Great skills, triple spread, Boss Killer, and Poison Breath would probably be pretty decent to use. So you would want one of those with that high DPS, and then you would want another one with like Scavenger and Amplify. Like maybe this guy. If you only had this one, you know, you would want this because it has Amplify, which is really important because it makes like your mushrooms last a lot longer. It makes your magnets last longer. It makes your you know, it makes those things last a lot longer. So it's very useful as far as that goes. Like I said, homing, of course, is a really good thing to have. I would avoid anything with this best friend skill. Even though this has actually some great skills on it, but this one really just makes it suck. You know why? It's not like it gives you an extra life, okay? It kills the dragon instead of your fairy. And then you don't have a dragon. Yeah. Not helpful. Be surprised how much more helpful it is to have dragons than to not have them. So that's also really important. Alright, so let's go ahead and let's see, I think. Where is it? There it is. Alright, so yeah, this is still going. So like I said, this would be your best setup for raids if you're going to use Jade. I already showed you the best setup if you're going to use Lyra. So there you go. But for arcade, you're always going to use Trixie. And then after you're done setting your score with Trixie, which I've already showed you how to do, you're going to equip Lily. And again, like I said, this is not a glitch. It's a game mechanic. You would click this. Yeah, it doesn't matter what dragons you have. If you're just doing it just to fill your piggy, your score is definitely going to want to be higher than this. But, you know, it's something. Just trying to show you guys the general mechanic of it. Oh, shit. Yeah, like I said, these dragons are really powerful. Whoops. There we go. I actually had to try to die on that. Alright, so there you go. Ignore all the background noise, I'm sorry. But that would be your best bet if you're gonna do that. Again, so like I said, the King's Court dragons are probably your best dragons to get right now. Do not buy these best friend ones. It doesn't give you an extra life, you just lose a dragon instead of your fairy dying, which doesn't really matter if you're using, you know, gem revives. It's not a big deal, especially if you have an unlocked piggy. Alright, so let's wrap this up. So that is how you would do all that. Now, any other frequently asked questions I've noticed that I get, I do want to emphasize one more thing here though. Do not do this. This is pointless. Do not do it. It will fuck you. It will make it to where you do not keep like your mushrooms and stuff on revive. And it really fucks you up on raids. So do not use this if you're raiding. Do not use it, especially if you are doing a raid. Alright? I would just avoid it altogether. You think it gives you more power, but it fucks you over in the long run with a lot of other things, so do not use it. Just trust me. Another thing is, you can watch the videos to get the eggs if you want. This only gives you 5 gems, so it's kind of useless, you know. In the shop, though, you definitely want to pay attention to when these two are in the shop. So if you have Trixie and Jade in the shop like they are right now, buy. Alright? Get those coins up, fill up that piggy, and buy. Get them to full. The more full you have Trixie, the longer her Candy Rush ability lasts, which you, trust me, you want that. Again, if you don't have the 2 dragons that I was just using, you want to use dragons that have the abilities that you're looking for, but the piggy dragon, it's very useful. And Citra is very useful. If you don't have a Citra, I would suggest maybe using Umbra, which is an epic that you can get from normal eggs, or, you know, anything of that sort that would also have like magpie. You definitely want to look for dragons that complement each other. So you see how like the piggy dragon complements Citra. So Citra has magpie, champion, deep freeze, right? The piggy dragon has treasure hunter, payday, and madcap. These complement each other, all right? Because you got the chest. Not only do you get more crystals from chest, you get more chance of chest appearing. And then you get more crystals from the monsters. And each crystal is worth more than it usually would be with champion. Plus you also get that damage bonus for the bosses and the loot goblins. You see how well these two complement each other. So that's really what you want to look for, like, because effects don't actually stack that well. So they do, but it would only have 50% effectiveness. So like, let's say you had two boss killer effects. One's 50%, the other one would only be 25% if you are trying to stack them. So they do not stack that well. So what I would suggest, your best option is actually just find dragons that complement each other for what you're trying to do. Like, if you're trying to play arcade, you're going to want each one to have either like some scavenger items. You're going to want them to have, you know, items and money of, you know, effects. If you're doing like, you know, again, if you're doing raid, you're going to want something with like boss killer and maybe like amplify and scavenger. Those are useful for raids and for arcade. So
I just said ouch. Oh, thank you.
anyways, yeah, so that's what you would want to do in this game. Again, most of these characters are useless. Your most useful characters are Lily, Jade, Lyra, and Trixie. But I will say, I'll give Lenore kind of an honorable mention. So like, let's say you don't have Jade. What? So like, let's say you don't have Jade or Lyra and you only have Lenore. Don't fret, because Lenore is actually a great character, especially if you don't have anything else. You're not going to want to use like Aurora or Lily for raids, that's for sure. So I would use Lenore if you do not have Jade or Lyra. Then you would use Lenore. So another tip is the quest. So you're probably looking at this quest thing like, it's not working. It's not ever going to work because this was kind of an older feature and it just hasn't worked. It hasn't worked for a long time. The get quest button does not work. It does not show up with the bot. But you really don't need it. It doesn't give you a lot of coins. It doesn't really, mainly gives you a lot of dragon fruit. But it's so easy to buy dragon fruit, guys, especially if your piggy is unlocked. There's no need for them. You can probably get an old quest link from older players like myself. I still have some from way back when, but they're not necessary. If you have this thing unlocked, they're not necessary. Again, they are not necessary if you have this unlocked. So, there you go. That's pretty much how that works. If you want to play survival is really fun. If you want to play it, you can. It can be really entertaining. It's definitely different than normal arcade mode. I don't play it very much myself. I usually just do arcade, and I'm really good with evolving dragons, doing arcade and raids. That's what I'm good at. That's kind of what I stick with. So, all right. I hope you guys enjoyed this. It wasn't a tutorial fully for beginners, but I definitely think beginners could learn a lot from this. It was more for kind of like those medium players that have learned the basics but don't really quite know all the tricks. So this should give you a pretty good idea on what tricks and what dragon and fairy combinations really work the best for what. It also gives you a good idea about evolving, how to get it perfect with only evolving 3 instead of 4 of the same sign, what that zodiac bonus does, and what effects on dragons to look for and how to pair them together. So that's kind of what you're going to find in this video. I hope you guys enjoy this, and yeah, have a good day. Enjoy playing with Everwing. Bye bye.